Greetings, hello everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're coming across my face for the very first time, hello. Please find a corner somewhere and join in the conversation. This is Conversations with BMT Mkulu, and of course today I also have another one. If you are not already familiar with what's happening in my channel, this is a space where I have conversations about anything and everything, hoping to create my very own community of like-minded thinkers. If you're a new subscriber in my channel, thank you so much. I've seen two people coming in, one of them of which I know it's Lisa Gazi, Umay Lily. Thank you so much, my darling, for being here. I'm not sure of the second one, might be that they found me from somewhere, but welcome. So today's conversation is going to be a very short conversation that occurred to me today as I was doing my daily walk. So I have this thing where after lunch I go for a walk, or in my free periods I go for a walk, because we try to keep it healthy. But as you've seen in this video, I am talking about the fact that all of us are born into generational wealth. Yes, I said what I said. I said all of us are born into generational wealth. And before you dismiss the idea or what I'm coming to say, I need you to sit down and allow me a few minutes of your time to just tell you what I mean when I say that all of us are born into generational wealth. And with my thoughts and my ideas are going to be a little bit sketchy, because remember, these are some of the conversations that I have with the other gang, so they become. So yes, I said what I said. Each one of us is born into generational wealth. For me to break down this concept, I even had to then write down a definition of what I found would speak or would factor into this conversation very well, and I wrote it in my journal. We already understand what generation is, right? Is a people, a lineage of people, right? And then what I then want us to focus on is the wealth, right? What is wealth? When we speak about wealth, we speak about an abundance of valuable possessions. An abundance of valuable possessions, right? A plentiful supply of a particular desirable thing. That is wealth. I know a lot of us think that wealth is this or wealth is that. But most of the time when we think about wealth, we have tied it to money. And let me tell you why that is. We have tied wealth to money simply because obviously we are living in a capitalist man's world, right? And one thing about capitalism, what it has sort of removed, right, from us is firstly creating meaning and importance when it comes to things for ourselves. So when we think wealth, we have attached it to monetary value. But wealth is not monetary value. It could be monetary value if you truly learn how to tap into it. And this is what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to break down what is wealth in the context of this video, right? Which is an abundance of valuable possession, a plentiful supply of a particular desirable thing. This video is intended for other people like me, which are people of color and children of the soil, whether they are in the soil itself or they are in the diaspora. Those things I want you to understand today, right? That each one of us has an abundance of ancestral wealth, right? And I'm going to set an example around the things that I know how to do, right? The things that I learned in school. These are things that I studied for, right? And then there's things that nobody taught me, but I know how to do, right? This is what we call embodied knowledge. I know them because I had not only done them, I had observed a particular generation in my family do these things. So that for me is knowledge. So let me take an example. I'm a very great braider, right? I'm a very good braider. Nobody taught me how to braid. I don't even have a single form of time where I can say I was learning how to braid. But the moment I started braiding, I knew how to braid because my mother was a braider. And so from a very young age, I've been observing my mom braiding. But this is the interesting thing. The woman before my mother, who is the grandmother, you know, there is a skill, so cancer, right? Where you braid reed mats, right? So my mother learned it from there, right? But before it got there, there is a woman before my grandmother who was a bead worker. So they would make bead work. So essentially what I know today from my maternal side of the family as braiding, amongst other things that I'm good at doing from that family, is because intergenerationally, right, there is an archive of this know-how in my genetics that began a couple of generations before. This is monetizable, meaning that it's firstly an abundant of a valuable position. It's a skill. Nobody taught no one, but we all know how to, right? And that is generational wealth. To know how to do something so well, to have your know-how without being taught how to, right? And then we have my paternal side of the family, generally good at other things, but they're very commercial as a people. So nobody has taught me commerce. Yes, I did commerce in high school, but you understand high school commerce, né? Right? So now this is where my conversation comes in when it comes to generational wealth. I want you today to demystify firstly what wealth is and tap into your generational know-hows, because that's where the wealth is sitting. The things that the people in your family knew how to do, this is where you will thrive. None of the things that I've personally gone to school to do are what brings me the bread. And I'm not saying I'm wealthy, but I'm saying the know-how is what has brought me the bread, which comes from certain bits and pieces of the ancestral or the generational know-hows, right? I remember at some point when I was being taught, oh, this is a family of teachers, right? That's another thing with my maternal side of the family. And I was like, never me. And yes, this is me. Because the thing is, is sitting there. I don't know why I am compelled to make this a video today, but I want you to take what I'm saying, that yes, you might not have been born with a silver spoon in your mouth like the people that we know to have been born in generational wealth. But the wealth that comes from your generation, if you could learn how to master, you would eventually get to convert it into monetary possessions, and thus generate generational wealth and have now the tangible, right? And let me tell you why this is now a conversation. I know there's a lot of people that are if they're in the spiritual journey, and you find that one of the things that I know a lot of them encounter is where there is a conversation around the ancestors or their guides speaking about the fact that, you know what, we have ample wealth that, was taken from us, right? And the taken sometimes is not physical, but it's the suppression thereof. And which is why I say we need to learn how to demystify that. Firstly, we need to deconstruct our own minds about the generational inheritances that or what in English? The generational inheritance, right? We need to have to reprogram ourselves. We come from a history of suppression. This is not good. This is not documented. This is not enough. So it does not matter. But today, the purpose of this video is to remind you that it matters. Your generational know-how matters. And some of you, that is the breakthrough. That's where the breakthrough is sitting. When you start following the generational know-hows and you stop looking at those things from the perspectives of your own oppressors who says that it's not enough. Like I said, we come from a history of suppression. Our talents were not as documented, not as recognized, not as commercialized. And maybe that's where the beauty is. And maybe that's where the beauty is. And I don't want to talk a lot. I wanted to be brief. I just wanted to be brief today. As the week goes on, and I'm committing to this journey to come and be in this space, right? And committing to my own creative authenticity. Some ideas come, some of which I dismiss. Yes, it's okay. That's also another thing that I am personally dealing with and I am facing, right? But I'm never not going to. Maybe today that's what I needed to do, to just bring a reminder to say, all of us are born into generational wealth, and we need to stop being apologetic for it. The things that you know how to do, your generational know-hows, if you can pursue them, if you can be curious, practice them, even for fun, because some of them are going to take you to place or are going to open doors for you that the things that you studied are not going to. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this to not only remind you, but to remind myself as well. I'm saying this to say, the world is such an unfair place. The world is such an unfair place. And it's a game of those that know that they've got it. Right? And so I want you to start doing that for yourself. I know there's phrases we like to speak of, such as, I am my own ancestors' wildest dreams. The wildest dream, their dream would be you tapping into it, even if you don't get to the crux of it, but for you to having started. Do it all if you have to. Do this, do that, but find one to master. And there's a reason also that I emphasize that this comes from a space of suppression. Remember, when it comes to black and white, and I'm not saying this in a racial point, but I'm saying it in a systematic way, right? Where systematically there's black and white, right? Black needs to be the purest of black for it to be visible in a space of white. Right? White can blend into anything and everything. White is a color you can work around, but not black. And this is why things that we a lot of the things, if you look at the role that generationally, right, our own people were able to do. They build the other empires, right? Because they come and make a spectacle of, oh, you know how to do this. I know it can go and shine where. And they take it for exhibition in white spaces. The generational wealth that you do, the generational know-hows that you don't want to tap into. So this is what I mean when I say all of us are born into generational wealth. Some of you, for example, you are born into a family of herbalists. There's no reason why you should be struggling. Because that means you're born into a family that knows the science of manipulating the ecosystems for things to, and we are sitting on that. But every day you want to go buy ashwagandha. Every day you want to go buy this medicine, because the very same medicine that you have got in your native home, when it's taken and put into other spaces, I'm not going to call the color of the spaces, when it's put into those spaces and nicely packaged, then it's acceptable. Because they've told you, because they've taught us that when it is ubuvimbo, right, in our native or in your home, then it is not the correct ashwagandha. It needs to go to the laboratory first. Anyway, guys, I don't want to start the politics of it, but I'm just here to say, I was not here to politicize this video, but I'm here to say all of us are born into generational wealth. There is absolutely no reason why you are not thriving, and there is no generational know-how that is small. Maybe the stage for where it is being practiced is small, but there's no generational know-how that is small. You just need to find it. Interestingly, this other time I was watching this other video of these two twins that have built wealth, right? Or they have gotten to a stage where they have gotten the monetary form of wealth through something that they had learned from their grandmother from KZN, who was just making a form of basket, and now they are internationally selling those baskets. Something they would do in KZN. Okay, thank you guys. Bye bye. I know this was I know this was random, but remember, this is Conversations with B. Each time there's a burning conversation. Guys, you know what? I'm gonna come into this space. Have a beautiful week. Thank you so much for being in my channel. Remember to tell your friends and their friends that there's a girl that speaks a lot on YouTube. She's just out there having a conversation with us. Tell everybody to tell everybody. And remember also, do the right thing. Press the subscribe button. Anyway, bye.